Here is the rewritten article in approximately 1,300 words. SM Entertainment freezes EXO-CBX assets worth 2.6 billion won, a dispute that shows no signs of ending. The Korean entertainment industry was sent into a fresh wave of controversy this week after SM Entertainment took the dramatic step of placing a provisional seizure on assets belonging to the three members of EXO-CBX, Chen, Baekhyun, and Xiumin. The total amount SM requested is approximately 2.60 billion Korean won, equivalent to roughly $1.78 million, aimed at securing a claim of about 10% of the individual activity earnings agreed upon between SM and CBX in June 2023. KRW, what was once a contractual disagreement has now escalated into one of the most drawn-out and closely watched legal battles in the Korean music industry's recent history, and the latest development suggests that a resolution is nowhere close. To fully understand what is happening now, it is necessary to go back to the origins of the conflict. SM and CBX have been in dispute over the exclusive contract since June 2023, when CBX notified SM of the termination of the exclusive contract, citing reasons such as a lack of transparent financial settlement and unfair long-term contract conditions. While Korea, the three members argued that the terms they had been operating under were unreasonable, and that they had not been given proper access to settlement data that would allow them to verify their own earnings. It was, at its core, a fight over transparency and fairness, two issues that have plagued the K-pop industry for years, with idols frequently finding themselves locked into agreements that heavily favor their agencies. SM's response was sharp and immediate. Rather than simply contesting the contract termination through negotiations, SM raised suspicions of tampering by Big Planet Made Entertainment, the parent company of INB 100, the management company associated with the three members. While Korea, the agency essentially alleged that CBX had been in contact with a rival company before formally announcing their intention to leave, a serious claim in the entertainment world that, if proven, could have significantly undermined the members' position. This allegation added a layer of distrust to what might otherwise have been a straightforward contractual dispute. Despite the tension, both sides initially managed to reach an agreement. The two parties reached a settlement on June 18, 2023, agreeing that 10% of CBX's individual earnings would be paid to SM, and that EXO's group activities would continue to be managed by SM, while the members pursued solo work through their separate agencies. KRW, on the surface, this looked like a workable compromise. The members gained some freedom to operate independently, while SM retained a financial stake in their individual careers and preserved the EXO brand. Many observers at the time considered the agreement a reasonable middle ground, one that could allow both sides to move forward without further hostility. That optimism did not last long. The dispute flared up again in June 2024 when CBX's side accused SM of failing to honor a 5.5% album distribution fee rate that had been part of the settlement conditions. This was a significant allegation. If true, it meant that SM had been benefiting from the agreement while failing to meet its own obligations under the same terms. CBX accused SM executives of fraud for allegedly not honoring the guaranteed distribution commission rate, but the case was dismissed due to insufficient evidence. KRW, the members also brought allegations to the Fair Trade Commission regarding the distribution fee burden, but the too was closed without charges being filed. Undeterred, SM pushed back hard. In the same month, SM filed a lawsuit against the three members of EXO-CBX for the fulfillment of their exclusive contracts, continuing the dispute. Star News Korea, at this stage, both parties were openly in court, with each accusing the other of failing to uphold commitments. The situation had evolved from a contract negotiation into a fully adversarial legal proceeding, and there was mounting concern within fan communities and the broader entertainment industry that there would be no clean resolution. Another layer of complexity was added when INB 100 was incorporated as a subsidiary of 100 label, sparking suspicions of indirect tampering, and in June 2024, INB 100 challenged the earlier settlement terms, reigniting the legal battle. The Korea Herald 100 label chairman Cha Ga-won held a press conference where he publicly stated that SM had been demanding 10% of sales revenue while failing to uphold the 5.5% distribution fee that was part of the deal. This public statement was notable. It moved the dispute from private legal proceedings into the court of public opinion, and it resonated with a fan base that had long been vocal in its criticism of how SM had handled the situation. The question of who owes what to whom has remained unresolved across multiple court appearances and mediation sessions. SM and EXO-CBX failed to reach a settlement in their first court mediation, and a second round was later scheduled. The Korea Herald, the repeated failure to find common ground through court-facilitated mediation underscores just how far apart the two sides remain in their interpretations of the 2023 agreement and each other's obligations under it. Now, with SM's provisional seizure of assets, the conflict has taken an even more personal turn. The value of the seized assets, when divided by individual members, reveals significant differences. Chen's share amounts to approximately 300 million won, Baekhyun's to 1.60 billion won, and Xiumin's to 700 million won. KRW, the disparity reflects the difference in each member's solo commercial activity during the period in question. Baekhyun, who has been one of the most commercially active solo artists from the EXO lineup, bears the largest portion of the claimed amount. A provisional seizure prevents the debtor from transferring or disposing of assets to avoid repayment. This legal action is typically taken when there are concerns that the debtor may attempt to hide or liquidate assets, potentially making debt recovery difficult. KBZOOM, in other words, SM's move is not simply about recovering money, it is also a precautionary measure designed to ensure that if a court ultimately rules in the company's favor, there will be something left to collect. The use of this legal mechanism signals that SM is prepared to pursue the matter aggressively and does not trust that the members will voluntarily comply with any future judgment. The reaction from fans and the wider public has been largely sympathetic toward CBX. Many have pointed out that the three members initially prevailed in their core argument that the contract conditions were unfair, and that the entire dispute arguably began because SM was not providing adequate financial transparency. The asset seizure has been widely interpreted as a heavy-handed response, one that critics say punishes the artists while SM itself has allegedly not fully honored its side of the 2023 settlement. The issue resurfaced again when CBX was reportedly excluded from EXO's full group activities in 2025, with SM explaining that CBX had not yet paid the required 10% of their individual earnings as stated in the agreement. This exclusion further deepened the rift and added fuel to the ongoing debate about whether SM has been using the group activities as a form of leverage rather than as a genuine creative endeavor. For fans of EXO as a whole group, the situation has been a source of considerable frustration, as the lineup of one of K-pop's most celebrated groups remains fractured. What happens next remains uncertain. The provisional seizure may prompt CBX to seek a new round of negotiations, or it may simply result in further litigation as the members challenge the seizure in court. Either way, the conflict has now stretched across nearly 3 years, involved multiple lawsuits, at least 2 failed mediation sessions, a fraud complaint, regulatory complaints, and a public press conference, and has yet to produce a durable resolution that either side appears willing to accept. For the Korean music industry, which has long grappled with questions about the fairness of exclusive contracts and the balance of power between agencies and artists, this case has become a highly visible symbol of just how complicated, and painful, those disputes can become when they are not resolved early. The artists at the center of it all, Chen, Baekhyun, and Xiumin, now find their personal assets frozen as the legal machinery continues to grind forward, and the end of this particular chapter remains stubbornly out of sight.